Hello, San Francisco, and welcome once again to the Angelic Troublemakers. I'm your host, Alan Jones, and on today's program, Too Legit to Quit. Uh, Thank you, MC Hammer. I have an interesting story to tell, and it's 30 minutes long. I hope you'll bear with me while I tell this interesting story of something that would happen this morning. I was intending on ending my program due to some medical issue. It's nothing serious. I'm not going to die. Well, at least I don't think so anytime soon. Um, I have a need shoulder surgery. And so I had planned a month ago, well, I'll end my program and take care of this shoulder pain. The pain is a pinching, and uh, thank God for medicine. I have been relieved of the pain momentarily uh, with a shot in the arm. And so it brought me to thinking, well, what am I going to do after I already announced I'm not going to be doing my Angelic Troublemaker program? But I got an email this morning on an unrelated subject. And as I was talking with this individual, I think it was God. I think that it was God who sent me this timely email to where instead of announcing that I'm ending the Angelic Troublemaker program, I'm expanding the Angelic Troublemaker message. And so I thought it was rather interesting because you wake up knowing you're going to do one thing and then you end up doing the exact opposite. But let me go back. It was 2 years ago this month that I began the Angelic Troublemaker program. I had thought the appropriate name, Angelic Troublemakers, which was a civil rights great by the name Bayard Rustin, who actually is the man who deserves most credit for the uh, August 28th, 1963 March on Washington. It was his coordination of the event that actually, where Dr. King gave his I Have a Dream speech. And so he also had made a call, in other events that we need more angelic troublemakers um, in the communities to stir things up and to make sure uh, our voices are heard and change has happened. Um, so I thought, hey, that's what I'm all about. I do not believe that we need to do the protests of the 60s, demonstrations here, demonstrations there, vandalism here, vandalism there, you know, graffiti, turning over police cars, all of that stuff to make social change happen. There was a time where, hey, that was the way it goes. There was also a time of gladiators. Well, we don't do that anymore. And so I realized that social change can happen with the tools that we have today. And so that's why I titled this program The Angelic Troublemakers, but it was based on the fact that I was a guest on a SF Commons program by someone else. And this individual encouraged me to do this program. Please stick with me. And so the message that I had when I was a guest on an SF Commons program was about my fight to prevent the Warriors from leaving Oakland to San Francisco. And so for the next 2 years, off and on, I used this program to promote my message and why. And so then someone got a hold of the original program, not mine, but the person who I was a guest on their program. And they liked what I had to say. And so they used that to share it with someone else, and the ball got rolling on a ballot measure. $50,000 was put into it, and then realized, hey, 98,000 votes we received in the June 2018 election for this ballot measure called the relocation of professional sports teams. It lost. 131,000 San Franciscans said no. But when I say that social change can happen with all of the demonstrations and all of this stuff, I realized, well, in 2 years of this program, an awful lot of progress has been made. You just don't get out of bed and get 98,000 votes. There's an awful lot of preparation. And I know that it was not just, no offense, this SF Commons program, but it helped me. And the fact that I truly believe that social change can happen without all of the violence and the protests, I have proof that I'm going up the right ladder, because all I'm doing is using a TV program, SF Commons, thank you very much, Facebook. I'm not a fan of Mark Zuckerberg, but the fact of the matter is the people who are assisting me, I'm not in this alone. They insisted that I use Facebook. So I am. I have a Good Neighbor Coalition Facebook page. The organization that I started for this ballot measure is called the Good Neighbor Coalition of the San Francisco Bay Area. And this program I have uploaded to a YouTube channel that I call the Angelic Troublemakers. But when I uploaded this program to the Angelic Troublemakers, it was basically, I was using it to store my programs. Sorry, YouTube. But then I realized there's an awful lot of good with this YouTube that I'm not utilizing. And so since this shoulder problem that I've put on hold due to a shot in the arm of cortisone, I realized instead of, going to do something else, you need to expand. And it was based on a conversation that I had with somebody who gave me an idea earlier this morning. Now, when we look at the fact that I have this program as a tool and my YouTube will be utilized more, I am reaching out to others. This San Francisco SF Commons program is only broadcast in San Francisco. But I always believe that my message should go beyond the city and county of San Francisco. That's where YouTube is going to basically come into play. And so by expanding this, I realized that My particular issue with the San Francisco City Hall, the Golden State Warriors, and all of that is just one issue. But there's certain bigger and uh, more meaningful to society issues that need to be addressed. I believe that all could be done nonviolently or non streets and protest, blocking of traffic and stuff like that. So by using this program, I am going to expand to using other social media to get a message of how I, through social media, got 98,000 votes. And keep in mind, I've never been able to walk. So aside of the fact that I'm not into protests and marching down the streets and stuff like that, I I wouldn't do it anyway because of the fact that I can't walk. Now, don't get me wrong. I've seen some people very inspirational in wheelchairs and walking. That's not me. If that's you, God bless you. But that's not me. And I'm not marching up and down the streets to where when something dumb breaks out, I can't get away. If that's you, may the protection of God be on you. But the fact that I am in a position to where I didn't realize how what I had preached in the beginning, that social change can happen without all of this nonsense, I actually have made it work without connecting the dots. And you, as I said, you don't get out of bed and get 98,000 votes. San Francisco local newspapers were so against my ballot measure, they would not have one sports reporter to do a story on it. Keep in mind, you have a ballot measure that's titled Relocation of Professional Sports Teams, and not one local or national, no local sports journalist called me to want to do a story on this ballot measure. Now, why is that? Well, I'd say it's self-serving, but I'll pick that up later. But that's a red flag. When I say that San Francisco is racist, I'm mainly talking about City Hall and city leadership. But throwing in there is also, I'm fighting the print media here. I'm fighting to get a message across. And I'm losing. Why? Because the local print media, they have a version of San Francisco that they want to project. And I can tell you, even when they throw in stories of how San Francisco is this and the not so lovely parts about San Francisco, they're slick. And they're slick because they're not going to promote something that would definitely bring embarrassment to the city. Well, I'm not like that. I honestly believe that if you're trying to hide something, people aren't stupid. They're going to find it out. And I myself don't mind being a whistleblower to San Francisco racism. And I'm going to use this program to get the message out on how to defeat it. And I'm telling you, No shots will be fired. No bottles will be thrown. No cars will be overturned. And San Francisco will not defeat racism, but it will decrease it if I just stick with the program. And sticking with the program is expanding this program. I did get an awful lot of help, and I greatly appreciate the people who I have, helping me along. But it's an exciting time. And it's an exciting time because I see God with his hand on me, and he's encouraging me. And a lot of people, they will pat me on the head. Oh, with disbelief, but they just pat me on the head. Good boy, nice job, Alan. No, if man wants to do something to you, they may pat you on the head when they don't even believe in what you're doing, because they don't want to just come out and tell you you're crazy. But when God pats you on the back, he does it in a way that moves you forward. And so I'm saying to you, I've received a pat on the back from God Almighty this morning. And it just reminded me, Alan, the message is too legit to quit. And the message is social change can happen without all of the nonsense that is in today's social change playbook, if you will. And so I'm excited for the fact that instead of coming in here to announce the end of my program, I'm expanding my program. Now, will this go on forever? Well, my shoulder may have something to say about that. But I honestly feel good. I really do. Sure, there's a tiny little old pinch in my shoulder of pain every now and then, but the shot's working, and I see no reason to let up when I have built up momentum. People who know me know that I'm not the give up type. And I am one who have really encouraged. I think it's my best, despite my programs, my best quality is encouraging others. And I have a poem to read. I haven't read the poem in a while, but I'm going to tell a story about this poem that sums up my little old situation here. And the poem I wrote more than 25 years ago. And I wrote it to a kid up at the juvenile hall where I was a Bible study teacher. Now, to set the scene, this kid was really convincing in telling me he was ready to give up. And in telling me that he was ready to give up, no matter what I said to him, he was not budging. He had a response. And so I said to him, but a quitter ends up being a loser. And so he said, so. And then I said, my goodness, this guy's, he's being tough here. Whether he just liked listening to me talk, which I doubt, or he just was sincere in battle, he had given up on life. I think he was 17 years old, ain't even started to live. I told him, I said, well, I'll make a deal with you. Based on our conversation and the fact that I believe that a quitter ends up being a loser, I'm going to write you a poem. Well, I'm going to write a poem, and it's going to be based on our conversation. So I came back the next day, and I told him I got the poem, and a big smile came to his face. So we went into his room, and I asked him to read the poem. And in reading the poem, he just lit up. And of course, he posted the poem on his wall as a reminder. Now, the title of the poem is Miss Quitter. And what I told this young man was that I was going to write a poem where a quitter was going to get married to a loser. And so I am going to recite the poem. Hopefully I can remember it all. And then I have some final thoughts afterwards. But the poem goes like this. My name is Mr. Devil, and I introduce to thee two compatible hearts for a wedding ceremony. First, there's Miss Quitter, who is about to change her name. Then there's Mr. Loser. Wait a minute. See there, I forgot the poem. Can't do it. Anyway, it's something that I'll have to bring back another time because it's been too long. I don't have any problems with coming in here fresh and making mistakes. That's the way life is. But let me see if I can try this one more time. My name is Mr. Devil, and I introduce to thee two compatible hearts for a wedding ceremony. First, there's Mr. Loser, society he would blame. Then there's Miss Quitter, who is about to change her name. I met Miss Quitter right in the community church, looking for a husband, and I offered to help her search. I met Mr. Loser one night while out on the town. I jumped for joy, shouting, look what I have found. They were meant for one another. It was very plain to see. I even got old jealous Cupid to agree reluctantly. Now, on the day of the wedding, I met family and friends. The best man and maid of honor were Mr. and Miss Criticism. Mr. and Mrs. Negative had nothing negative to say, and Mr. and Mrs. Complaint were happy on that day. Do you, Mr. Loser, take Miss Quitter for a wife? Oh, yes, Mr. Devil, for the rest of my life. And do you, Miss Quitter, take Mr. Loser for a husband? Oh, yes, Mr. Devil, this is my kind of man. Now let's have the ring, made of unforgettable misery, and place it on her finger for all the world to see. I now pronounce you Mr. and Mrs. Loser on this very special day, and losers you shall be forever unless God changes your ways. Well, that's the poem. And the poem has gotten mileage, and I refer to it in my mind whenever I want to think about quitting on something. And it has helped me probably more than it helped that young kid. But the fact of the matter is I didn't recognize the fact that I was using a situation, which is, I think, legitimate, as a reason to stop something. But God is saying, oh, no, you don't. There's a scripture in the Bible that says, Whatsoever your hands find to do, do with all their might, your might, because there's no work in the way grave where you're going. And so I press forward. I press forward to the mark of the high calling, which is in Christ Jesus. And with that message, I am going to not quit, but expand my angelic troublemaker program to where more than San Francisco will get a message. I like teaching people. And the fact that 2 years of support in a message that I believe in resulted in 98,000 yes votes for my ballot measure. I'm saying that, and no violence was done or no protest or whatever. I'm saying that I did with no help from the media. Nobody helped me, and in fact, they were selfishly against me because they wanted the Warriors to come here. And so the thing is in other parts of the country, if people would take up the ideal that social change can happen without all of the violence, using social media, then I'm telling you, we really can turn things around in a way that will energize more people. Now, I am turned off when people make statements, oh, we block traffic just to get our message out. Well, you may have blocked traffic to get your message out, but did you really change anything? Now, as God is my witness, I remember during the Iraq War, a man laid down in front of a San Francisco trolley car to stop it in protest of the Iraq War. What was happening? You know how big a B-52 bomber is? A B-52 bomber was going over Iraq at the same time that this man decided to lay down in front of a trolley car in San Francisco as his way to protest the Iraq War. Well, did he stop it? I'm telling you, people, we need to just get more informed, get our act together, bring it together, use a website. We got all kinds of tools. If it was not just my Good Neighbor Coalition .org website, Facebook, Good Neighbor Coalition Facebook page, the Angelic Troublemakers program on YouTube. I mean, if I wanted to go Instagram and Twitter, I got a Twitter, and all of these different things that we can, the message will get out there. But the most important message is, I believe we should do it using the democratic process. Now, I also believe that it's my saying that the only thing I love more than justice is the freedom to fight for it. And I can only get that in America. Well, sure, there are other countries that do it, but not like in America. We have so much freedom. And I'm believing more and more that social change is going to happen the way I am going to promote it. And so look for me to expand my Angelic Trouble program in other ways. Until next time, God bless.